It's time for fashion at the Fashion Empire, the reality journal inside and out of the fashion industry. With your hostess, fashion editor, editorial photographer, and model manager, Jackie Bertolette. She shares her experiences, her tips and tricks, and how-tos and trends, and talks with other fashion and beauty insiders. Let's join the conversation. Once again, welcome to the Fashion Empire, where it's always a great day to style. And we would like to welcome our sponsors for this episode, Tiffany Rose Antiques and Vintage Clothing, located in Mentor, Ohio. You can visit them in store or online at Instagram, Tiffany Rose Antiques. We also want to shout out to Darla Fox. Darla Fox has her own line, the Darla Fox Project. She also owns a boutique in Strongsville Mall, South Park Mall, and it offers red carpet, wedding, and of course, prom. You can check her out in store, again, Strongsville, South Park Mall, or online, Instagram, Darla Fox. And we thank you for your support. Hello, and welcome to the Empire, where it's always a good day to style. We invite you to sit back and enjoy while we talk to fashion insiders from around the globe. I'm your host, Jackie Bertolette. I am editor, founder, creative director of Hood Ohio Magazine. I am executive producer, Ohio Fashion Week and Ohio Fashion Awards. I'm a model manager at DMSM. I am a fashion designer, RJ Luna. And you can find out a whole lot more about me on our platforms on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. You can see the video and you can listen to the podcast on podcast platforms across the web. We want to remind you that we are here to uplift and exchange great information about the inside stories of the fashion industry. We're 100% inclusive, always 100% inclusive here, and we encourage you to stand out and be fabulous. Now, coming on is going to be my co-host, Arzell. Hello, Miss Arzell.
Hi, Jackie.
Hello.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
I'm great.
So good.
You're so cute. So cute.
How you doing?
Tell us about our guest today. We have such a special guest.
Well, today we have I'm so excited, okay? Let me just tell you that I watched this cycle and I was yelling at the TV. I was so mad. I was so angry. Like, come on, girl, you got this, right? So we have Victoria Henley with us today. Victoria.
Hi.
Hey.
Guys.
Hi, how are you?
Hi, Victoria.
I am doing great. How are you? Thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome. Okay, so I'm gonna just get to it, okay? Because everybody's gonna want to know. Okay, she's from America's Next Top Models, Cycle 19. Okay, so I want to hear all. We want to hear viewers, everybody, girl. We want to know. Girl, Tyra, okay?
Okay, Tyra Banks,
the pointers,
yeah.
like all the, like what she told you, the pointers of how she helped you, your photos, that from the beginning, you were like the top 5. Like that in itself is so amazing. Like we all want to hear all about it, like all about it. What's the pointers, girl?
Yes, of course. Well, thank you guys again so much. I mean, can I just say, Jackie, I respect and admire you so much for what you do with Hood Ohio, DMSM. It's my honor to work with you. And Arzell, we've worked together in shows, yes. So this is so awesome to be here. Also, just so you guys know, stuff happens. Models, we're all just real people. I'm out here with tangled hair on a hiking trail. I was doing a conference call because I got my dates mixed up for the interview. So none of us are perfect out here. But one thing that I love about America's Next Top Model is it really was about inclusivity and kind of embracing your flossomeness. And it was a really interesting process getting picked for the show. More people auditioned my season, I think, than any season prior because they had opened up the online element. So people could send in YouTube videos from really all over the United States. I went to an in-person audition. There were a few hundred people there. I was like, oh, they're probably not going to pick me. I wasn't really that. I didn't have very high expectations about it. But of course I was confident, but you never know with a reality show. So I walked in, the producers, everything actually went pretty well. So I thought, okay, things might have, one of the producers said, we're going to keep our eye on you. So I was like, well, maybe they say that to everybody. And I left, I, didn't didn't think much more about it. And then they called me to the callbacks in Houston, Texas. There were hundreds of girls there, just kind of to give you an idea of what that process was like. The energy was high, the nerves were definitely on. And as far as the producers, I met one of our main producers, Michelle Mock, who was on site. Then a few weeks later, I got a call from Beverly Hills. I got the notice. That was like the time. I was going to meet Tyra Banks. I was going to stand in front of the panel of judges. I did. They had about 16 people there. They said they were going to pick, no, they had 30. They said they were going to pick 16. My name was called out last in like no particular order, but my heart was, I mean, you can imagine how nervous I was. Tyra called my name and the rest was history. I'm telling you what, Tyra, if you want to know about, I'm sure you're going to ask more questions. She's a businesswoman. Like, she is all business. That's what she's TCB, taking care of business. And that is Miss Tyra Banks.
Yeah. So tell us some of the stuff that you think that you learned from her that maybe you didn't know about modeling when you were there.
Yeah, of course. I think one of the main things that I learned from Tyra Banks was conducting yourself in a professional way on set. I think, and Jackie, I mean, you know, a lot of people think, well, I'm going to show up, I'm going to have a fabulous runway walk, I'm going to look fabulous, and everything else is going to fall into place. But being a model is about so much more than that. It's about how you work with people. It's about how you interact. It's about professionalism. And honestly, I would rather walk with a model that is kind and professional and falls on her face than somebody who has an amazing walk and is horrible. I mean, you can work with that. You can work with a runway walk, but I think I learned about conducting yourself and also being kind of streamlining your career, but also being a model who does more. You guys both know about that. I mean, Jackie, you modeled, and now look at all of this fashion empire literally that you've built. And that's always been something that I wanted to do. In breaks between filming, I was writing out business plans of things I wanted to host, where I wanted to be in 5 years, shows I wanted to produce, workshops I wanted to teach. So I think Tyra mostly taught me the runway was valuable when I walk. You know, I definitely feel a little Tyra Banks in my walk. It's she has that little hip swivel and kind of the attitude. But more importantly, I learned about planning and strategizing, and that you always have to be hustling. And I think that is something we all definitely can learn.
Yes,
yes, it is. Now, did you find, okay, so you were top 5, which was amazing, I'm sure. And where did you get to go? Was it Brazil? Where did you go to?
No. So what's funny, they didn't air this, but when they called the top, so they called the top 5, and then they did this elimination comeback portion where they brought another girl in. So there was always that confusion. They kept all the girls they eliminated in a holding area. So you never knew once you made top 5, were you going to be demoted to top 6? So there was always that element there. And they had never done that before to my knowledge. So they had us all there in the elimination room. And they were going to bring a girl back, actually. So we were all nervous about that. Who's it going to be? And then they flashed up on screen, Paris, you're going to Paris. So everybody was so excited. They were jumping around. Well, the producers put the wrong thing on the screen. It wasn't Paris. It was Jamaica. Stuff even happens on that level. And they were like, no. So then they put Jamaica up, and the girls were kind of bummed out because everybody wanted to go to Paris. I wanted to go to Jamaica, but I think I was like the odd woman out. But I was super stoked about Jamaica. Everybody else wanted to go to Paris. But in just a few days, they said, pack your bags, you're going to Jamaica. We stayed at this beautiful resort. The people in Jamaica were so nice. I mean, when we got off the bus, there was a guy on stilts, people were dancing, there was music, the food was amazing, monkeys up in the trees, mongoose running up to you. And I'm kind of like an earthy, natural girl. I love like being out in the elements. So to me, Jamaica was definitely my jam. It's something that I will never forget.
Right. So how did you always know that you wanted to model? How did like being on the show, I know that like changed your personal life, you know, as a model, you know, so how did that change for you? Like after, you know, you got off the show, and how was you able to, you know, keep, you know, going as a model?
Absolutely. You know, one of the things that I always say, and one of my favorite quotes from the producers on the show, the real competition begins when the show ends. And at first I thought, well, that's a little weird. And then I realized what they were talking about. You know, you get on the show, and I think a lot of girls or anyone who's done reality television, whatever you've done, Project Runway, America's Next Top Model, you think that you're going to get off a platform like that and the phone is just going to be ringing off the hook and you won't ever have to hustle again. Let me tell you, nothing could be further from the truth. truth. I probably worked harder than ever after getting off America's Next Top Model. Sure, I had, press requests, I had media interview requests from different TV stations and so on, and that was great. But, it was one of those things that I had this platform, and it was my job to take that and promote that. It's great to get the Tyra Banks seal of approval, but how are you going to use that to further your own career? You have to strategize what you want to do, who you're going to promote this out to. And one big thing I really wanted to do is do model workshops, do mentorship programs. And with me just being kind of another model, before the show, I did have experience, but that show gave me the push, gave me the platform that I really needed to work with more people and to turn around and help other people kind of build their brands as well. And there were also things too, like Neiman Marcus, for example, was a client that I always wanted to work with. And one of the agencies I was contracted with, I had different bookings and things with them, but I never could kind of, it just never really worked out. Only about a week after I got off the show, I sent my new portfolio to my agent. I was like, I have this America's Next Top Model thing. Here are my new pictures. See if you have any luck with Neiman's. And then I think within a week, I was, on a plane and going to work with them. So it's just one of those things that it definitely gave me a little bit of a push that I needed, but you always have to work and hustle no matter what.
Yep. Awesome.
Mm-hmm. And that takes me right into the fact that modeling is actually a business. Like you said, it's a contractor.
Absolutely.
You have to make your own way. You have to, do your own taxes. You have to, all of that. It's an actual business that you need to incorporate yourself. And how do you stay focused? I know that you and I are similar in that we have like a gazillion things going on all at the same time. Sometimes the ball's dropped. I know about that. But how do you manage to juggle it all?
I really like that question a lot, because I think that a lot of women in particular, I get really hard on myself. Again, I was 15 minutes late for this, and I apologize, or more, because I've been just kind of overloading myself with different things. I'm one of those people that, just like you, Jackie, you are the ultimate Renaissance woman. Is there anything that you don't do? You do so much, and I really admire that.
Right.
I think one thing that comes with the territory of doing so much, it's great. It fulfills you in a certain way. It fulfills this creative void that otherwise would exist if you didn't do all of these things. I know that I would feel empty if I didn't have the modeling aspect, and then the design aspect, and the show production, and the mentorships. But it does drive you a little crazy sometimes. And I think it's okay to admit that. Like, hey, I've got a lot going on. Mistakes are going to happen. Sometimes I'll overbook myself. Sometimes I'll get my times wrong. It does happen. I think it's, knowing when to be gracious and humble, and when to apologize for knowing if you've messed up or you've overbooked yourself, and being able to laugh at yourself. Sometimes things are going to go wrong. You have to have a sense of humor about it. You can't be so serious that you just have a mental breakdown every time something happens. If 2020 taught us anything, man, it's you've got to pivot. You've got to be able to shift a little bit and go with the flow. Be like water, like Seneca or some philosopher said that I really like. You just kind of have to be like water and glide into things. But if you're going to be a model who does other things, you've got to know that you're going to make some sacrifices. You're not always going to be going out to parties with your friends every Saturday. You're going to be working. You're going to be hustling, and you've got to ask yourself before it happens, is that worth it? Are the sacrifices worth it? And if you have that passion there in you, it absolutely 100% is going to be worth it for you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's a lifestyle. It's not a job. It's a lifestyle. Kind of like being a doctor. Speaking of, you were talking about philosophers. I want to talk to you. This is near and dear to me because I homeschool my son, as you know. I know that you grew up homeschooled by your mother, who I adore, by the way.
Oh, she loves you too.
So I'll say hello. So tell me a little bit about what it was like to grow up with a homeschool, and then even going to homeschool online. How did that affect you and help you get confidence to go into modeling?
I think that I owe a lot of what I was able to learn just through the school of life in general, through homeschooling. And I think my mom's style of homeschooling, just watching it with Trent, is very similar. And I really love that. There was a specific curriculum that I stuck to. Let me move back in the shade a little bit. But there was a curriculum that I stuck to, but I also would go to, my mom would take me to movies. She would take me to the opera, to the theater, to the ballet, and she would have me write little reviews on on what I saw. And she called up the local newspaper, or had me call them up and said, would you publish these reviews that Victoria writes? So they agreed to do so. And I think that that really sparked my interest in journalism, entertainment journalism. And it's one of the big reasons that I'm doing a lot of the things that I'm doing today is because of that. So I don't think that if I were in that traditional school structure, that structure does work very well for a lot of people. And I am not making a dig at that. Everybody has their own trajectory. But for me, homeschooling was absolutely the right path because it allowed me to experience life, to travel to different areas without the confines of those four walls of school, and just kind of figure out a learning process that worked best for me. And I think that if you are a, Trent, like Jackie's son, if you all have gotten the pleasure to know Trent, he is the sweetest kid ever. He is so sweet. And you can tell he's so creative and he's so unique. And I think children like that don't fit into that traditional mold do really thrive in a homeschool environment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's been it's a whole different experience. It's not better or worse. It's just a different experience. So it's also helpful that your mother was able to help you through it. You know, not all parents are able to be there all the time for them. So it's been perfect for you, and I hope the same for my son. So as we're talking about things that we do together, you know that I have showcased in your Magnifique fashion show.
Yes.
I have photographed them. I've been in the pit.
Yes.
Let's see. You have been an MC and model and designer for Ohio Fashion Week. Oh my gosh, what else have we done together?
We went and toured the Christmas house in Ohio. I stayed for a week at this lady's house and I had like the time of my life. I did not want to leave. Ohio is awesome and I love it. But yes, we went to the art museum together. We've had dinners together and we've done, of course, fashion related. We shot with Courtney Dupereau, which was really fun at the LGBT Center. That was amazing. That was such a fun trip. And collaborating with you is always a joy because I feel like our styles are both kind of similar in what we do. So it's always a pleasure kind of like being around your process. I love it.
Yeah, I think we both are into uplifting others. And I think that while we're doing what we love and what we're great at, we're also giving opportunities and for people to, accomplish their dreams. So it's really important what we're doing. So
I love it. And it's all inclusive too. And that's what I love about I don't think I've ever really seen another show that is so inclusive. I mean, you see it's a melting pot. It's different genders, different ages, sizes. There are special needs people. And I think that's great because fashion is for everyone. And why not have fashion shows be for everyone too? So that's why I always will support what you do. And I really love it.
Yes.
Thank you. Now, Arzell, you have walked for Victoria. Have you walked for her as a designer or just in her shows? For me,
it's just been for her shows.
Okay.
For her shows, yeah. Actually, the first time I met her was at Ohio Fashion Week.
Oh, okay.
I ran right up to her. I said, "Hey."
I remember that. I was like,
I tapped her on her shoulder. She turns. I said, "You were on America's Next Top Model." I said, "Oh my gosh!" And let me tell you, you should have. And I just went off, and she listened. Victoria girl, she listened to me the whole entire time, and she was like, it was like giving me pointers and everything. And we just had a great time backstage at Fashion Week. So that was the first time that I met her, and then I walked for her.
You had a leg up on me because I'm afraid I didn't know who Victoria was when I.
Oh no, I did.
I was like, wait, because she walked for me. That's how we met. She walked for me in Miami Fashion Week.
Yes.
And she contacted me, and I was like, wait, I haven't seen AMTM. I think it was like season 12 that I stopped watching. So I had to go watch it, find out who you were.
Yep.
That is so funny. Yeah, I remember that because I am most people who know me, if you're if you're around me for 5 minutes, you're going to know I'm a serial networker. So I'm going to know everything about you. We will have exchanged Instagrams. Like we will be all connected. But I walked up to Jackie at Miami Fashion Week because I loved her line. She had the cutest little swim caps. It was this vintage, like kind of retro. And I loved it. I was like, I've got to walk for this woman's line. I don't know who she is, but so I tapped her on the shoulder. I had one of those moments. And I introduced myself, and she gave me a magazine. So I remember when I got back from my trip and was going through all my stuff, I reached out, and like they say, the rest is history. So a great friendship and a great collaboration was born, and I'll always be thankful for her.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And then you also, talking about that show, you were joining everybody in accessories from Jewelry TV, where you're a brand ambassador.
Yes.
Yes. Are you still with them?
Oh, I'm sorry?
Are you still with them? Are you still showcasing their jewelry?
I am, yes. So I still work with JTV. JTV is a company that I really respect the jewelry that they have. I respect what they do. I have worked with them I actually worked with them as a host full time for about 2 years. So I got into taking it back to the beginning. I saw them online, came across their page. I called their human resources department and I said, listen, I kind of pitched an idea to them. Do you guys ever, hire models to be brand ambassadors, spokesmodels for your jewelry? I ended up sending them a demo. They had something different in mind. They wanted me to come join them full time as a host. And I have always been, independent contractor. I've always kind of been more of the entrepreneur type deal. So it was a little bit different for me, but I took the leap of faith. I lived in Tennessee for about 2 years hosting for them full time, but I traveled so much for them. So after sitting down with their chief services officer, I think we both kind of came to an understanding that a travel-based position would be better. So I was, continued traveling to New York, Los Angeles, Miami. Those were my key markets for taking jewelry to Fashion Week, putting them out on the runway, putting them in editorials, networking with people, telling them about jewelry television. Tony Malvania, who's designer of their off-part collection, is absolutely incredible. I love his line. So like probably 98% of what I take to Fashion Week is going to be from Tony Malvania. And he and I have just, built a great friendship as well. And we keep in touch online. This past year, 2020, was very different. Of course, obviously, everybody knows the pandemic. So New York Fashion Week, as we knew it, I think they did some smaller virtual events, but for the most part, New York is pulled, Los Angeles was pulled, all of the bigger show markets were pulled. So I had to pivot a little bit and do my Tennessee show with JTV there. I had to do a show in Atlanta and Mississippi, which turned out great. We had an amazing time. As of yet, we're in limbo with JTV. We don't know what events we're going to put in the books, if it's going to be the other markets or if it is going to be our New York and LA shows, but I always love promoting, working with them. And what's an outfit without accessories, right?
Right.
Kind of have a little bling with it.
That's right. That's right. We love our bling, don't we, Arzal?
Yes. Yes, I do.
love those hoops too. I love it.
Thank you. They are so heavy.
Yeah.
Well,
So tell us a little bit about your podcast. So you're a guest on ours now, but I have been a guest on yours as well. Tell us about your podcast.
Yes, of course. So my podcast is I owe it all to Jackie. And her events are so good. I'm just gonna give a little plug too. Ohio Fashion Week is coming up September the 18th. So if you're a model, a designer, if you're media, you've got to go to this event. Yes. I network in New York and LA, but honestly, the networking at Ohio Fashion Week is just as good, if not better. I showed up to Ohio Fashion Week. I actually did not know. I think it was maybe 2 days before Fashion Week that my other contract with JTV, my full-time contract, ended, and we switched over to a travel-based position. So I went from a time of, I had told Jackie before, hey, I can't come to your Fashion Week because I couldn't get off work. Well, my contract changed. So I called up Jackie. It was like 2 days prior. I had just been in a really bad car accident, and I had my rental truck. And I was like, Jackie, can I still come? And she's like, of course.
Oh,
so,
yeah. I forgot about the accident. Yeah.
I remember that.
It was terrible. I mean, that's the thing, though, that the advice I give everyone, life is going to happen. Don't let it get in your way. I meant I was going to Ohio Fashion Week, and I'm so glad I did. So I went in my rental car, my contract having just changed, so many weird kind of transitions happening in my life. But I was so happy to be on my way. I had never been to Ohio before. So I came in and I just kind of asked, my mom said, why don't you give a couple remarks at the beginning of Fashion Week? And I thought, well, I don't really know Jackie that well. We just met one time in Miami. So I ran up to Jackie and I'm like, hey, can I make some opening remarks? She said, sure, no problem. Walk out there and introduce yourself. I walked out there and I did. And I noticed a guy sitting in the corner. He kind of had his entourage with him. He looked, some people just look like producers. He kind of had that R&B kind of look about him. Well, it turns out that this guy was with FCB Radio, First Class Broadcasting in Ohio. He approached me after the show and we started networking. And he said, I would love to have you as a guest on my show sometime. So Darvio is an awesome networker too. He gave me his card. We exchanged info. And I approached him and I said, listen, I have an idea. Why don't I give an inside scoop from Fashion Week events and give a behind the scenes exclusive called Backstage Pass? I just kind of, came up with it on a whim. He said, that sounds great. So that's how the whole thing, and they're affiliated with iHeartRadio and so many other amazing companies. So we were able to kind of work that out together. And I have done to date, I think maybe 200 episodes of Backstage Pass. And we have had so much fun. We've interviewed Grammy, Tony Award winners. We've been to the Dove Awards and like so many theatrical performances, the opera, and people just roll out the red carpet for you when they hear that, oh, you're with a radio station or you work with iHeartRadio. And I'm just so honored, Jackie, for the. Otherwise, it's a platform I wouldn't have if not for your amazing Fashion Week. So I thank you for that.
Oh, you're so welcome. That's exactly what I hope my platform does for people, is integrate and network and give people platforms beyond my platform. Like I love that you and Darvio took off. Darvio and I have been sort of together watching each other go through this whole transition because we both started about the same time. I was one of his first season guests for Ohio Fashion Week because of his mother. So Darvio is an incredible man. I love him. Speaking of mothers, tell me about your mama. Can I say her name?
Yes, of course you can. Lynn. Yeah.
Hi, Lynn. Hi, Lynn.
Hey, Lynn. I know. I wish she was here. She's actually she's somewhere off hiking with my dad Russ, but she's within close proximity. But
Mm-hmm.
yes, my mom. She is. Ask whatever you want about her. She loves you. She loves you guys. But yeah, if you watched me on America's Next Top Model, I was like the mama's girl. I was the mom. That's what the whole season was about. I really don't know what else they would have focused on that season if it weren't for the whole mom saga. It was a lot. Like it was a little much. But I love my mom. She has been well, as you know, Jackie. I mean, watching you support your kids, you're always there for them, and that's what it's been like with my mom and me. Whatever I do, she's always there 100%, asking what she can do to help. And she now is a photographer. That just happened kind of in this freak sort of way. And now we fly all over the place together. We work together. We're best friends. We get along so well. So it's really just, it's an amazing partnership that we have. I really love it.
That's great. I'm so excited that you love your mom so much. I know some people find it to be a little bizarre. I find it to be absolutely endearing.
Yes.
So, your mother is beautiful. You're beautiful. I've never met your dad, but I'm sure he's beautiful too.
He is. Yes, I'll give a shout out to my dad too. My dad Russ. But we're really, I think being families everywhere. I wouldn't say it's just a Southern thing, but in the South where I was raised, family. It's a lot about like family ties, and a lot of families go into business together. And I really love that. My dad grows pecans in Georgia, and so they have always supported me so much. So now I am supporting them with this and getting restaurant contracts together. And we just made a huge delivery. And it's this whole other business element that I'm learning in, like starting, I feel like I've been working in fashion so much, but I think it's great for your brain to like start at something. And it humbles you when you enter a field that you don't really know a whole lot about, and you learn as you go. So that's what I'm doing for them. But yeah, I learned so much from my parents, and I am so blessed. They are amazing people.
Mm-hmm. They are, and they've raised an amazing young woman.
Yes, they have.
Beautiful, and somebody who's actually as tall as I am.
Yes, I know. You don't see that a lot.
Yeah, not too many of us out there.
Right, yeah.
The Tall Girls Club. How tall are you, Jackie?
6 foot.
You're 6, okay. I'm 5'11". Arzel, how tall are you?
When I'm not next to Miss Jackie, I'm 6 foot, but I'm 5'11".
Okay, I got gotcha. Tall Girls Club.
Yes.
I love being in the small girls club.
Me
It makes
too.
you stand out. And you know what I love about standing out is that we can be fabulous.
Exactly. And we get noticed everywhere we go too, whether we have on heels or we're flat footed.
That's
That's
right. That's right.
That's-
Oh yeah. Tall and proud for sure.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
So give us a little, I don't know, a little snippet of something that would be helpful to an upcoming model or somebody who is aspiring model. You can give a little, little insider tip.
I think the best tip that I could give is going back and circling back to what we said earlier, being easy to work with, communicating well with people, being that person that shows up on set to do their very best for the overall production. If you're that person that is really easy to work with, you're going to get called back again over that person that might have a better runway walk than you, or maybe they're a little bit better of a poser, but if they have an attitude, word is going to spread. So have a good attitude, have a good spirit about you. I love that song, Humble and Kind by Tim McGraw. Turn around and help the next person in line. Like, be there to support other people. Stay humble, stay motivated, stay hungry. Don't get complacent. That is, I think those are some of the worst things that you can do. And I do see that a little bit. Sometimes when someone experiences success, they think, well, I can just sit back and enjoy this. But there's always so much more out there to be accomplished, to be seen. So that should just keep you motivated and should keep you hungry. Another thing, going back to the beginning, and I know that the word like rejection, the word no can be very discouraging. Just understand that no one person is the gatekeeper to the fashion industry. It is inevitable. In this industry, it's very competitive. You are going to hear no, but one person's no may be another person's yes. It sounds trite. One door closes, several more are going to open. So don't just give up because one thing didn't work out. You've got to kind of navigate and see your niche. Maybe runway is your field, or maybe you want to collaborate and get into design. There are influencer opportunities. Agencies like Jackie offer a lot of portfolio building opportunities. So there's so much out there. You just got to find your market, find your niche. Don't give up. That is my number one advice to people starting out, because I see it all the time. They expect to get rich when they first start, or they expect this and they expect that, and it doesn't work out exactly like they envisioned. They quit, and then they don't get the opportunity because they quit trying. So just keep trying.
Yep.
That's right. Yes. And I think that having been around the world like you have, I think that you have an interesting perspective on it, because you've worked with, literally all walks of life. So you know what the industry needs and expects from a model. So I think that's amazing. Do you feel like the industry is starting to open up? Not the Midwest industry, not the secondary industry, but the actual primary key markets. Do you feel like it's starting to open to conclusion?
I really, really do. And I started seeing more inclusivity. I think a lot of people have been catalysts for that. I wouldn't say one person just opened the floodgates, because I think it's been a process that's been going on for many years. I mean, when you look back in even the 90s, most of the models that you saw, there were certain just niche types of modeling. You saw 6 foot tall, blonde, light-skinned women that were 90 pounds, and that was it. Like you barely saw diversity. And then slowly you saw more opportunities open up for people of color, for people, of different backgrounds. And then you saw more of the size positivity coming into play in print areas, and different elements of that. So I think that it is a lot more inclusive. And I think it's because of just that saying, you have to see her to be her. People started seeing people in shows and in ad campaigns that did look different and kind of broke that traditional mold. And I think that process has been going on for several years. And whoever was the first one to kind of really start that off, I applaud them. I thank them, because inclusivity is always a great thing.
Yeah, yeah, I agree with that.
Right. And I am all about inclusivity. We know that. In fact, the models that I manage are fully inclusive range, from LGBTQ to challenge models to petite to age, all of them. I think there's beauty in everybody, and we can find the beauty. We can make it shine for you. Do you think that there has been a difference in the men's industry than the women's industry at all?
I was actually, that's a really good question. I think that you don't see a lot of, I have not seen a plus size male model in a lot of campaigns as much as you see full figure women. And I was actually just discussing that with my mom the other day. And I don't know if you all have insight as to why you don't see that as much, but we do have several more like full figure, I guess you could say, or extra large plus size, whatever you'd want to call it, men in our shows. With my shows, the height is not an issue. Ethnicity, size, anything like that is not going to be an issue. So I can say that is something that I'm 100% behind, even for men as well. So like I said, I'm on a hiking trail, so I think we've got some hikers coming by. But yeah, I mean, it's something that I will always push and promote, no matter what your gender is. We are open. So if you have that passion, if you're easy to work with, if you want to be there, we want to have you there. And Jackie, I think you're like that as well. But I think for men, it's always been a little harder in the fashion industry than women. But I'm sure there's some trailblazers, though. There definitely are.
Absolutely. Yes, well, Victoria, I want to thank you for your time. I know you're out there getting in shape, keeping your model figure. Tell us how to get a hold of you if people want to network with you.
Yes, of course. Please do. I would love to hear from anyone who wants to work with me, who wants to get on board with Magnifique. To tell you a little bit about what I do, so I have Magnifique fashion shows where models from all over the United States come in. They walk in a showcase format. We have the full fashion show, and we have a competition element where Jackie is one of our magazines on board, and she features so many of our models in her beautiful spreads. We have CT Magazine and West Haven Management, of course, DMSM. Some of our iHeartRadio platforms feature our design winners. So you can come in, you can network. There are different prizes that you can receive. All shapes, all sizes, all heights, all genders, ethnicities. So we are open. Our next show is Saturday, May the 22nd. And that one is going to be in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee, around the Dollywood area. And that's actually one of the first ones, Jackie, that you came into for me. So we've got a great show happening there. Yes, you did as well. Arzell, I'm gonna give my little spiel on how people can work with me. I have a really funny story about Arzell. Can we share it or no?
Yes.
A funnier one about you, Victoria, trust me.
About me? Oh,
yeah.
I know what you're referring to. We've definitely had some stories for sure.
Yes, no. Tell me about Arzell.
But so Arzell was coming with Jackie to our Tennessee showcase, and she was checking into a hotel. And you know that if you are in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee, that is like the land of Dolly Parton. You cannot go in any you can't go anywhere without seeing Dolly Parton billboards, cutouts. Like, if you do not diss Dolly Parton anything, you gotta know who Dolly Parton is. So anyway, they walk into the hotel, and there's a big cutout, of course, of Dolly. And Arzell says, "Oh my gosh!" She's like, "It's Reba McEntire." I
said it just.
He's like, "Be quiet! This is not the place for that."
Oh my gosh! Good job. This is Dolly.
Okay, I said it so loud. I was so confident. I was like, "Oh my God, that's Reba!" You was like, "I was like, it's not." I said, "Uh-oh."
Oh, it's one of those country music people. It was so funny.
I was like, I thought it was her, and I was like, okay, this let me not do nothing else.
That is hilarious. I would have paid to fly on the wall.
Oh my
it was funny. That was wild too.
Yeah, we had so much fun in Pigeon Forge. I have to tell you that my children, my daughter and my son were both with me, they're both models, and they were not happy about going to Pigeon Forge.
Come back and join us. You guys are all invited. May 22nd. We would love to have you.
I'm telling you, we love Pigeon Forge. The kids need to go back. You have to visit it if you haven't seen it in a while. We love to be there.
It's a must-see for sure. I'm still looking for a place there. The housing market is crazy, but it's one of those places you fall in love with. It's so beautiful. It's so much fun. And, if you have kids or even if it's just you coming along, it's a really fun place to come as well. And you can come and you can network at the show, walk for some great designers. That's going to be, if you want to get on board, you can email me and I'll send all of the links to you, Jackie, if that's okay. And you can post those up. But it's magnifiquerunway@gmail.com. You can message me at Victoria Henley on Instagram if you just just want to say hi and you want to connect, JTV Victoria is my page on Facebook, so we can definitely get connected there as well. And then we also have affiliate shows like New York Fashion Week. God willing, if that opens back up, I keep getting out of frame in September. We definitely would love to have you there. We have other shows throughout the year. December 11th in Mississippi. I'll send you guys all the dates so you can look at them and post them. But we would absolutely love to have all of your listeners involved. That would be amazing.
That would be awesome. And
well, I'll be there.
Yeah, us, I will. And of course, well, I don't know if I'll be there, but I know my clothes will be.
That would be great. As always, yes. I love that.
Yes, and we'll see you at Fashion Week in Ohio in September.
Yes.
And we have so much more to talk about, but we're running out of time. So I just want to thank you so much. We miss you guys, and I can't wait to see you again.
We miss you too. I was going to say, okay, so I'm going to be there September 18th, emceeing and all that good stuff. If Trent's good with it, we'll be moving in and camping out for a week or so because I love Ohio. I want to come back and check out all the sites.
Yes, he loves you guys. He would be very happy to have you in his bedroom.
Oh, well, we love him too. Your whole family. We're so excited. I cannot wait for September. Look forward to it all year.
Thank you so much, Victoria. And you look beautiful, even though you're out on the trails. Just so you know.
I wanted to have my makeup done for once. I was going to have a cute outfit on, and I'm like, oh, that's all out the window. But thank you guys so much for your patience, and I'm so honored to be a guest. This is so much fun, and congratulations. I know the Fashion Empire is going to be an amazing success, just like everything you do.
Yes.
Thank you. We love you. Be
love
safe.
You guys too. Bye.
Bye.
And hello, everybody. Here is your quick 5 good things to know.
All righty, guys. If you're in the industry, these are 5 things you need to know. 1, as a model, always have self-care. Very important. If you don't, I don't know, you might wake up and you might lose your eyeball. I don't know. 2, the other thing that you need is very important. You are a hanger for the clothes, okay? Mm-hmm. Ladies and gentlemen, you are a hanger for the clothes. That is, you walk, you show the clothes, you be great. Okay, hang the clothes back up. Mm-hmm. Okay. Mm-hmm. Next one. Always have your model bag. Okay. Mm-hmm. And never spray tan. Then last but not least, ladies, gentlemen, y'all, let's not spray tan before our shows and photos.
2 days. Within 2 days of the show.
Yes, 2 days. Yes. Do not. Because what happens is it messes up the clothes, and then the designer has to figure out what to do, and then it leaves the designer in
there's nothing you can do as a designer because spray tan stains the clothes. So yes, if you're going to spray tan, please spray tan more than 2 days ahead, and make sure you've had a good shower to the point that it stops shedding, it stopped bleeding, it stopped whatever.
So where it's natural.
Yes.
You always want to look natural in anything.
Yes.
Don't want to look.
And if you're going to spray tan, either do it with very, very, very minimal strapless or nude.
Yep.
Because you don't know what you're going to wear. You don't know what they're going to put you in. So, all right, good. And then model bag. We need to have the model bag, but we want to make sure that we teach you what goes into that model bag. How are we going to do that?
Well, y'all going to catch it on our webinar.
That's coming out this summer.
So it'll be here this summer, and of course you're going to get to have more fun with me, your girl Arcel. Of course, I love seeing me too.
Can't get enough of Arcel.
We're going to have. It's just the webinar is just going to be amazing. I'm going to show all aspiring models what they need to do, how you're going to walk, what needs to be in your model bag at all times, and your model bag should not leave your car. Period. But we're not going to get into that. We'll get into that at the webinar.
Perfect. All right. Thanks, Arcel. It's been great with you today.
It's always been a pleasure.
I know. I love being with you. I can't wait till we can be in the same room again.
I know. I can't wait. Wait, we got what, a week?
We'll be a week when we're close to each other, but I mean actually doing shoots and doing runways and doing, getting back to business.
Yeah, because I miss running around your backstage, just acting like a complete, everybody knows who I am when I walk in. They don't even know me, but they want to be.
And I'm running around the backstage like a complete nut, but in a completely different way. I'm the one that's unhinged.
Stylist that comes to chase you down with combs and makeup brushes, and you're like, get in line, and she's like, don't frown,
she's
don't
trying to. Well,
frown.
yes, don't frown. Oh my god, that should be her calling card. Don't
Seriously,
frown.
don't frown. Because every time I do it now, I always like wrinkles. Don't frown.
You're stressing. You're stressing. Don't stress.
Seriously.
All right, Arcel. Till next time.
Alrighty, next time.
All right,
Bye-bye.
stand out and be fabulous.
Stand out and be fabulous. Okay.
Thank you for joining us in The Empire, a Fashion Empire podcast where we discuss the realities of the fashion industry inside and out. Thank you to our sponsors and platforms for sharing our show, and of course, our amazing guests for talking fashion with us. If you have an idea for an episode or want to be a guest, just visit HauteOhio, HAUTEOHIO.com. And of course, shout out to you, our Empire citizens. We appreciate you and your support. As always, be sure to like, follow, comment, review, and share. Till next time, stand out and be fabulous.